My grandmother Ruth wore the same brown coat for 30 winters. The cuffs were thin. One button was the wrong color because she sewed it back on with whatever was in the tin. People in town looked at that coat and felt a little sorry for her. I watched them do it. They would lower their voice around her, like money was a thing she did not have and could not stand to hear about. Here is the part they did not know. Ruth fed 7 people through the worst years this country ever saw, on a hard piece of dirt in Kentucky, and when she passed, she owned her land free and clear and had cash set by in 3 places I knew of, and likely more I did not. The woman in the thin coat was the richest person on that road. She just never let one soul find out. I did not understand it as a boy. I thought we were poor. I thought the coat meant something true. I remember being ashamed of it once at the feed store when a boy from school saw the wrong button and laughed. I came home stung. Ruth just looked at me over her cup and said the cheapest thing a person can own is the opinion of folks who do not pay your bills. I did not know what she meant. It took me years and a few of my own bad money mistakes to see what she was actually doing. She was not poor. She was hiding. She looked broke on purpose every single day, and it was the smartest money move in her whole life. Nobody handed her this. She worked it out the hard way, the way you work out anything when there is no room to be wrong, and she never sat me down and explained it. She just lived it in front of me, and I had to catch it. So let me hand it to you the way I wish someone had handed it to me, plain and in order, the secret behind the thin brown coat. I want to say one honest thing before I start, because Ruth would have wanted it said. None of this is a cure for being broke when the rent and the food and the doctor already eat every dollar you make. When there is no gap to begin with, you cannot save your way out of it, and anybody who tells you to skip a coffee to fix real poverty is selling you something. Ruth knew the difference. These are moves for the gap, for the dollars that are loose and slipping away without you noticing. If you have any of those at all, even a little, this is for you. I am her grandchild, and I have been chewing on this my whole adult life. 6 things, 6 moves she made on purpose. None of them are tricks. None of them cost a thing to start. And the people who would rather you stayed broke, the stores and the banks and the folks selling you a feeling, they would prefer you never heard of one of them. So lean in. The first thing Ruth did, she lived under what she had, on purpose, always. Even in the better years after the war, when there was more coming in, she did not let the spending climb up to meet it. Most folks do the opposite without even noticing. A raise comes, and the cars get nicer, the meals get bigger, and a year later they are just as squeezed as before, only with more stuff. Ruth pulled money off the top the day it came in and tucked it away first, before a dollar of it could find a job. She treated her own savings like a bill she owed. The light bill got paid. The savings got paid the same way, no skipping. Here is why looking poor on purpose works, and it is the whole foundation, so hear it. When you let your life grow to fill every dollar you make, you get used to the new comfort fast, faster than you would believe. The nicer car feels like nothing in a month. The bigger house feels normal by spring. So you chase the next thing, and the next, and you never get ahead because the finish line moves every time you do. Ruth refused to start that chase. She held her plain life steady, so every extra dollar that came in had nowhere to go but the savings. That gap between what you make and what you spend, kept on purpose, that gap is the whole game. It is not what you earn. People who save a good slice of every... The second thing she did, she kept one day a week where no money left her hand at all. Not for anything but what was already promised. She did not buy a thing on that day. No little something at the store. No, I am out anyway, so I might as well. The cupboard fed the family that day, full stop. She wrote out ahead of time what counted as a true need, so when the day came it was not a thing she had to argue herself into. The rule was already made. The reason this one bites is that small spending is a habit, and a habit runs on its own without asking you. You see the thing, you buy the thing, you get the little lift, and your hand does it before your head shows up. A no-spend day jams that machine. It makes you stop and notice, this once, what you would have done without thinking. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. A few dollars here looks like nothing on its own. But studies put the small stuff, the coffees and the snacks and the just grabbing something, at a couple $100 a month for a lot of folks. That is real money walking out the door in pocket change. Ruth made 1 day a week where the door stayed shut, and then she moved the money she did not spend straight into the jar. That last part matters. The third thing, and this one took me the longest to respect, she bought things quiet and used, never new and loud. Her truck was always somebody else's truck first. She let the other fellow pay for the new smell and the shine, and she bought it a few years on, after the worst of the drop was already behind it. There is a real reason hiding in it. A new thing loses the most value the fastest, right at the start, not slow and even over the years. A new car drops about 1/5 of its worth in the first year alone. By the third year, somewhere around 1/3 to nearly half of it is just gone. By year 5, the average one has lost about 60 cents on the dollar, so it is worth maybe 40 cents of what the first owner paid. The steepest part of that fall happens before you ever turn the key, if you buy it new. Ruth always let someone else stand on that cliff. She stepped in after the ground leveled out in that sweet spot a couple to 4 years on, where the hard loss is spent but most of the use is still sitting there waiting. The newness you pay extra for is not more trouble. The fourth thing she did was so small I almost missed it for years. Before she bought anything that was not a flat need, she said the price out loud. Just the plain number. This is $2. This is $40. She said it like she was reading it to herself, and half the time, once it was out in the air, she put the thing back. When the money is just not know the difference between a sif, if falk or rye, if falk or ox, a swipe or a tap, it falks somewhere and turns into a bill for later, and your hand does not know the difference between $2 and 20. Saying the number drags the cost out of the fog and sets it right in front of you, and you feel the small sting of it, the little ache of letting money go. There is another thing the spoken number does. It files the cost against your own rules. Once you have said this is $40 out loud, that $40 belongs to a bucket in your head, the grocery bucket, and spending it somewhere else feels like breaking a promise you made yourself. Left unsaid, that same $40 feels like it came from. The fifth thing is the one the whole story is named for. Ruth let everyone believe she had less than she did. Always less, never more. The thin coat was not an accident. The plain truck was not all she could afford. It was camouflage. She knew something most people learn too late, if ever. When you look like you have money, the world lines up to take it from you. The salesman works you harder. The neighbor measures himself against you and you against him, and pretty soon you are both buying things to keep even with each other, and neither one of you wanted the things to start with. The reason this works is almost funny once you see it. Nobody tries to sell to the person who looks broke. Looking poor is a wall they will not climb. The folks who study real wealth, not the loud kind but the quiet kind, found something that surprised a lot of people. Most everyday millionaires made it themselves, first in their family. They did not inherit it. And they live well under what they could. They drive plain cars, the common kind, the brand the regular working fellow drives. They live in fair homes, not mansions. They got there on the gap, the same gap Ruth lived by, and they stayed there by never once trying to look the part. The loud version of money. The sixth thing she did was wait. When she wanted something that was not a need, she did not kill the want, and she did not feed it. She set it down and let time work on it. A day for the small stuff. A good long stretch, near a month, for anything big. She parked the want and went on with her life, and when the time was up she asked herself one honest question. Do I still want this? And most of the time, the want was just gone. Buzz does of the cigs, and the chest, and in the chest, and in the chest, and in the chest, and one earth. But the pasting Polton, be fortress on earth. But the buzz does not last. Give it a day, and it fades. You can see plain whether the thing was a real need or just a passing pull. Folks who do this say that most of the time, by the little weight, did the want cool first, and a cool, not fought down. Go on its own. So Ruth fixed the want before she ever touched the wallet. She did not need iron will at the store because she never let herself be at the store with a hot want, and a full purse and a cool want is easy to walk away from. A little want cool first, and a cool want is easy to want. So that is the secret behind the thin brown coat. Live under what you have so the gap can grow. Keep 1 day a week where the door stays shut. Buy quiet and use, and let the other fellow eat the drop. Say the price out loud so the cost stops being a fog. Let the world think you have less, so the world stops reaching into your pocket. And wait out the want, because most of them die overnight if you let them. 6 moves. Ruth never wrote them down. She just wore the coat and lived them, and I had to watch close to catch it. Now I want to hear from you, because I know you have one. What is the one money thing your grandmother or grandfather did that everybody else thought was strange, but you still do today? Put it down below. I read them, and I have learned real things from yours, things Ruth never taught me. So tell me the one that stuck. Next time I want to open up Ruth's jars, the literal ones, where she kept her money, and why she never trusted it all to one place or one bank. That one surprised me when I finally understood it, and I think it will surprise you too. If this sat right with you, you might think about subscribing so the next one finds you when it comes. No pressure. I'm glad you are here either way. Take care of yourself and go look at that.